Welcome to Adaptive Difficulty, where we ask and answer the question, books aren't movies, but what if they could be?
This week we're solving a murder. Who done it and to whom? Join us as we track clue after clue and examine Murder on the Orient Express, the 1934 classic by Agatha Christie, and its 2017 adaptation of the same name, directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Have you ever read any Agatha Christie novel before?
No, I have not. I saw this movie
Have you?
as a child, or I guess in 2017. I guess I wasn't a child then, but actually,
Okay,
I might have been 17, so I would have been legally a child.
Okay. Did you see this when our school put on the play version of it?
Yes, because isn't this the one that had the fog machine issue? Because I recall seeing the clouds, and I recall seeing a Shakespeare one that they did up in modern day. I'm pretty sure I saw this.
I think you're right. They kept using a fog machine, and it kept going into the crowd and making people cough. Is that?
Yes.
Well, okay, yeah. Yes, this was that one. That was my only exposure to Agatha Christie, was the play, which was relatively faithful, I would say, reading through this.
You mean you didn't see this movie when it first came out?
No, I did not. I saw the trailer that was all the characters while they played Imagine Dragons, and I was like, no, thank you.
I want you to know, and I guess spoilers for this book, when I first walked in there with my friends, because I was wanting to see this with my friends, I was like, I bet if this was made today, having not seen the film, I bet if this was made today, it'd be something stupid, like all the people being in on it. And so I effectively called that movie.
Interesting. I feel like it's interesting because, and obviously we just said it, obviously there are spoilers for the entire book throughout this, if anyone's unfamiliar with us or the book, because it is such a unique, you can tell that's part of why it's so famous, is just because it's the first one to do that as the solution.
Yeah.
It almost, and I guess this is to the book's credit, it doesn't come across that sensational by the time it gets revealed. It's not like you can feel Agatha Christie going, and then it turns out they all did it, super proud of herself.
Yeah, it's very subdued in a lot of ways, the book.
Yeah. I also thought, and I don't know if her other books are like this, but I thought it was interesting just how much the book is so formulaically laid out like a riddle. Clearly it's because it's there's the opening act that sets up the murder, and then the middle is just the evidence of Mr. Hardman, the evidence of the valet, the evidence of the American,
Yeah.
And then when you get to the beginning of the third act, they're here's a profile of each character that we've met so far. Here's the 10 open questions that Poirot needs the answer to solve the case. And I just didn't is it that way because Agatha Christie novels are all like that?
Well,
or
Agatha Christie, because I was looking this up, I was just kind of curious to what other people's responses to this book were. Agatha Christie is one of those people who was very interested in having it be solvable by the reader, whereas Sherlock Holmes is not.
Yeah, that was sort of, I'm not going to say she was the first person to do it because I don't know that for a fact, but she definitely helped popularize the idea. Because some people nowadays, you would think, that is essential to a whodunit, is you have to be able to give all the clues to the reader and not, play unfair, quote unquote. But that really wasn't a genre expectation if you read the, Edgar Allan Poe's mysteries or Sherlock Holmes. They don't operate that way.
Because isn't one of the Edgar Allan Poe ones an orangutan?
Yeah. I'm not going to say the name of it because that, despite how old it is, I would like for people to be surprised if they read that particular story.
That's fair.
But yes, the one of them is especially bizarre. How did you like the book?
So I was interested in kind of how it was set up, because I'm so used to modern detective stories, and I don't know, maybe this is because of a lack of attention span in modern audiences, or maybe just kind of how storytelling structure has changed. I'm so used to kind of having very small mysteries that are solved kind of as you go along and you kind of build up. And so it felt like parts of this book were dragging on a little bit because there was not a lot happening, because it's just him sitting in a train car talking to people. And it may just be the unfortunate case of this is just a case for this book because they're trapped on a train car. Whereas if they were in a city, they would be doing a bunch of other things.
Yeah, I feel like it replaces that momentum more with the structure, the fact that every chapter is it's like 5 pages long and it's the evidence of this character. Like, I feel like that keeps you chugging along because you can feel everything getting laid out before you. There's also some mild twists, like, they reveal the bloody knife in the soap bag, 3/4 of the way through the story. So there's a new thing to investigate now, and the scarlet kimono, stuff like that. So I liked it. I guess, honestly, my prevailing thought was, like, since I knew the solution, it really did it was interesting to read in the sense of seeing the clues and how the characters were behaving. But I feel like, and I don't read a lot of whodunits, but it does take something away from reading it even the first time, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because it's not to say the book has no themes at all, because clearly it has at least one major one, dealing with, the Armstrong case, which is an obvious parallel to the Lindbergh baby, and sort of like, group justice and the morality of, an eye for an eye, stuff like that. But there wasn't a lot to latch onto other than trying to solve the case, I feel like, and I already knew it.
Do you think that if you did not know this case, do you think you could have figured this out, like, before you got to that point where he explains it all?
I don't want to flatter myself, so I would say no. I'm usually not very good at whodunits anyway, so okay. I don't think I would have arrived at they all did it.
Yeah, I don't
think I solved it while I watched the play, but also I can't stop and think during the play, so it might not be the most fair judge. So.
Yeah. Other than my wild call out, I had no expectation for what it was, and I don't know, like, it should theoretically be, I think mystery should theoretically be solvable by the reader, but they don't have to be solvable by the reader, in the sense that I don't think anyone, even a very diligent reader, would come up with this answer, unless you're, like, taking, like, extensive notes as you're reading, which who's doing that?
I think the biggest clue, honestly, is the 12 stab wounds and them all being haphazard and different.
Yeah.
I think you would have to really latch onto that in order to get to the right answer. Have you ever watched Columbo?
I've seen some episodes of Columbo. I could not tell you what happened in any of them, but I know the general vibe of Columbo.
Okay. I was going to say that because you're thinking about, like, well, nowadays you get multiple clues as you go. I feel like Columbo, although famously, it's like, it's a how did they do it, not a whodunit. The criminal, but you've got to get the evidence to frame them. I feel like that he works this way. Like, you just sort of slowly accrue information over the entire episode, and then he uses it all. And obviously that show's like 50 years old now, but, like, it's relatively still beloved, just like Agatha Christie, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a pretty common format.
Yeah, I'm just so used to, like, I guess I'm going to point out to Psych as, like, the main kind of mystery show that I watched at a given time, where he'll see a clue and then he'll explain it directly to Gus, which I guess is more in the style of, like, Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
So I'm more used to that kind of style of storytelling in terms of, like, mysteries and whodunits.
Yeah, a lot of Sherlock Holmes stories really are. There's a lot of plot happenings going on beyond there just being a crime that occurred, in a way that is kind of different from, like, the classic, like, cozy mystery type genre, I feel like, anyway.
Well, I mean, from what I understand, and I've also not read that much Sherlock Holmes, the main appeal of Sherlock Holmes is less the mystery and more the man. Like, he's the focal point that you want to, like, examine.
Yeah, it's more of an adventure story. I mean, there's definitely still always a crime to be solved, and there are clues in it, but there's just a lot more involved interpersonal plotting, I guess, with Sherlock Holmes as a character. Anyway, in the movie, the main theme that I want to focus on first is Poirot's characterization.
Yeah, this is, I think the movie does place a lot of emphasis on him, so I think it's almost trying to kind of adhere to that kind of expectation that we have with detective stories, where the detective is the focus rather than, like, the mystery. So I feel like he's given a lot more nuance, or at least attempted nuance in this story than in the actual book itself.
Right. In the book, he's just sort of, and again, I've not read any other Poirot novels, so possibly he has more depth if you've read more of them, but I kind of doubt that. He's sort of just quirky enough that he functions as a character.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's like Belgian and kind of particular because, people who speak French are snooty. and that's kind of it, other than being a good detective. And in the movie, he has Catherine, he's a widower, I guess, or he has like an unrealized love, something
Or
like
his girlfriend died or something like that. Like,
yeah. And I don't know. I didn't love that, but then he also this is a not 180-degree turn, but early on in the movie, he steps in a big pile of poop, and he's like, the problem is the imbalance, and then he shoves his other foot in the big pile of poop, and I was like, oh, they're making him OCD. He's gonna be monk.
yeah.
And then it never comes up again.
Well, I mean, at the very end, he has that line of like, "I'm going to have to live with the scales of justice being imbalanced," or something like that. I saw it less as, I mean, it is like OCD. I was wondering if it was on some level coded as like autism, because one of the characteristics of autistic people is that it's like rigid adherence to like morals, and he's like very particular about what is good and what is evil. He's like, there is evil, there's good, and there's no in between. And that is, a common trait for people with autism.
And it's not enough of one, like, I get what you're saying with the imbalance. It is like a Chekhov's gun in that sense, but I don't think they earn it with anything else his character does throughout the movie. They just kind of put it at the beginning and the end, and then they go, look how good we are at screenwriting.
I also find that sequence, the beginning sequence, is very weird because he's like waiting on breakfast and the eggs have to be the same size. But what they do is they run about, they get eggs, they boil them, then they bring them to him and he measures them. Why would you not measure them before you boiled them?
Maybe something about boiling it changes them. Or he's just a dick and is like, I don't even want to waste my time having to measure unboiled eggs and then wait on them. Only bring me boiled and I'll decide.
I don't feel like he's that like particular.
He's like, well, no, only for the first 5 minutes of the movie. and he's like you said, he's more morally righteous in the movie than he is in the book. Because in the book, they reveal the solution and say, all of you did it. They're basically all getting revenge on a guy who killed a baby and then also caused like 3 other deaths in the process. And so Poirot says to the cop who's with him, here's the evidence, here's the solution, you do what you want to do with it. And the cop says, I didn't see anything. And the book ends. Whereas there's like 10 minutes of the movie where Poirot's like, I saw the inner ugliness of the human heart and it drove 12 people to the ends of morals. And
yeah. And I think it's one of those things where this, again, as you said, like the book doesn't have that much of a theme. Like it has a little bit of it, but like that's not really the purpose of the book. And the movie is trying to be very kind of character driven, very focused on him. So he has to have some kind of internal conflict, which he doesn't have in the book.
Not to get ahead of ourselves and run out of things to talk about, but in general, I just feel like this movie is trying to make this story seem so big and important. And I feel like it's just, the story it's telling is that's not the right vehicle for it, because it's really not. And those two things end up clashing with each other.
Well, it's probably Agatha Christie's most famous book. Maybe And Then There Were None. Or what's the other one? The Murder of Dan Aykroyd. Like those are like,
Dan Aykroyd's an actor.
No, sorry. What's it called?
It's something like that. It's her first novel, I think, is what you're talking about.
But like those are like the 3 like main ones. And so I feel like Kenneth just chose this book because he was like, I want to do an Agatha Christie book. And this is the one he went with because it's the first one that came to his mind. And it's just so funny.
The Murder of Roger Ackroyd.
Roger Ackroyd, yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Because I think about this, because my favorite shot in the film is when they're all sitting at the table and it's the Last Supper, and you can just feel him being like so happy about it. And I like the shot. I actually think it's really fun. And I get a lot of joy seeing it. I don't know if I get the joy seeing it because I think it's good in the context of the film, or if I just like the shot. But it's that moment you're like, oh, this man is full of himself in this moment.
Yeah, it's just it's honestly beautifully photographed. I think it used 70 millimeter film, like One Battle After Another or The Odyssey or whatever. And it has all these like sweeping vistas of mountains and the train, and the music is like constantly in the background, either like soaring or just like underlining everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it thinks that it's like an classic Hollywood like period drama, and it sort of is, except the actual material of the script and the story is better suited for like a 1 hour episode of TV than a 2 hour, 10-minute long movie or whatever. So
Yeah, it does feel like, yeah, the style of like what's presented to you, where it's all kind of, it feels like rich, like, you know, like there's poverty porn, which is like Shameless, the TV show, and then there's like wealth porn. There are parts of this movie that I'm like, this is just kind of wealth porn for people, and like that's kind of what people expect when they think about the Orient Express. It's like a very fancy train, but like that's not really there in the book.
Every 30 minutes, the movie, I feel like, realizes, oh, just interviewing people one after another is not dramatic enough, so we need an action scene to happen. So Josh Gad tries to escape, and Poirot chases him, and then like 30 minutes later, they shoot Poirot. And I was just like, the movie is not confident enough in its material to just play it straight. So it keeps adding these random action scenes, but the action scenes just make the movie longer, which means the movie is too long for its material.
Yeah, I think there's like, if you had not done it as an action sequence, I think the Josh Gad sequence of him like going down there, if you had made it slow, where Poirot sees him and like is stalking him, and like it's a very slow kind of methodical kind of like observation kind of thing, it would have worked. But like the fast chase sequence doesn't really make sense in terms of really the rest of the movie, but also what you get in the book, where they're just sitting on a train. And I honestly thought they did a fine enough job with avoiding just sitting down, because he would interview them in different places, and you would like jump back and forth between them, and that gave a sense of progression and a sense of movement that you don't really get in the book, which I thought was fine.
Right. And the last thing to do with Poirot specifically, even though we've already kind of moved on from him, they make him woke in the movie, which I guess is fine, but it's just kind of strange. Because
woke in what way, Josh?
Like, because the main contrast I noticed was like in the movie, the crime happens and he's not going to take the crime because he's like, I'm on vacation or whatever. And then a guy comes and is like, you know, if nobody solves the case, they'll probably either, you know, arrest Marquez because his name's Marquez, or they'll get the black guy because he's black. And that convinces Poirot to take the case. Whereas in the book, he like talks to this guy who's like, you know, an Italian probably did it because they like to stab. And Poirot's like, you might be right.
Well, I saw that more as him just humoring his friend and being like, this man is just dumb.
Yes, I'm being facetious, because later he does admit that he was like humoring everyone he talked to so that they would be comfortable, you know, saying more than they otherwise would have. But it just was like, I don't know. There was like the book, not to say it was like particularly problematic, but like I feel like it discussed those issues in a way that made sense for the time it was written.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie definitely modernized them, even though it's still set in the time that the book was written.
I mean,
and maybe you have to do that, but I don't know.
Well, okay, this ties into a character, and I'll talk about it. So there's that sequence where the German professor, who's like supposed to be a proto-Nazi, and is like,
that was definitely, yes.
The races should not mix, and then the woman is like, I don't remember what her character's name is. She's like, I like a good rosé.
Debenham.
Yeah. And my question is not so much the existence of racism in 1930. That's fine. It probably does exist. It probably did exist. My question is, these are all like fake stories that they come up with to do this murder. Do you think that he was like, I've always wanted to play a racist character, and this is my one opportunity? Like the guy in universe, he's like, I'm going to do all this racist stuff. And like all of his friends are like, what are you talking about? Why do you have to be the racist German guy?
It's like people who are too into like playing paradox games or whatever.
Anytime you talk to someone and you're like, oh, I really like the Civil War, and you have to be like, okay, what side do you like? Or like, I really like World War II, and you're like, okay, what side do you like? I'm like, why would he volunteer to make this his character trait? Because like, imagine the world in which like Poirot is not there, and they're just having a normal time. He's just kind of the casual racist guy throughout the week, and he's just casually racist to the people he knows. Like, I don't understand.
Okay, I know he was putting on an act, and Linda Arden was putting on an act. I thought all the other characters were more or less themselves. They just agreed to take part in this murder.
Well, I think that might be true. But even then, that makes the question weirder because, like, yeah, Lyndon Arden is doing this because she's like the actor or whatever, so it makes sense for her. This guy's a cop. Okay, it's making sense now.
But in the book, he just is. I mean, he maybe again is like anti-Italian or something, but he's not this like proto-Nazi because World War II hadn't happened yet. And the character in the movie is definitely written with the hindsight of World War II having happened.
Yeah. And
there was some...
He's a Pinkerton in the movie, right?
There was a line...
He's not a Pinkerton in the book.
Yeah. He's just like a New York City cop in the book, I think. In the book, there is a line at some point where they're like, us Germans would never be so awful or something like that, which does play ironically now. So maybe that's where they got the idea.
I guess, but it's like the one, like it kept coming back up, like as the movie was going on. He kept doing things. I'm like, okay, how much material did he practice for this? Like, I mean, like, where's he getting all this stuff from? My thing with Hercule Poirot. Yeah, sorry, I had a minor stroke. I like his mustache.
Let's start that one from the top.
Yeah. I like his mustache. B, I got like serious atheist vibes from this man.
Like Reddit atheist?
Not like, I don't think it went that far, but like, I don't know, the line, like the whole sequence at the beginning, which is not in the book and may come from another Agatha Christie novel, I don't know, where he's like in Jerusalem and he's solving a crime that's involving religious things. And he's very kind of like laissez-faire about the whole thing and kind of irreverent. And like it comes up occasionally, like he's talking to the devout Christian lady and he says like, God's always busy. And it just comes off as kind of like a dismissive view on religion. And at the very end, he's like, there's only two people in the whole world who knows what happens here, God and me. And it's just like, I don't know how you can handle this and do this and not like come off as like a little bit atheistic or at least agnostic.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't contradict anything in the movie, but I'm not sure that it seemed to matter to the movie to me. If anything, like in the opening scene, even though he's not preferring any given religion, he kind of helps them all reconcile with each other. So in that sense, he is at least not...
Yeah,
like,
I don't think he's...
I don't know. If you're thinking about like what theme is the movie trying to get across, it could just as easily be like, harmony or whatever, as it is like this main character is an atheist.
I guess that's true. My other thing with him is that he's like, I feel like they turn the quirkiness up in the movie a lot. Like I feel like he's like just a giant goober.
Yeah.
Like seeing him laugh at Dickens,
he is quirked up.
Seeing him like with his mustache little cover and the part where he's like, I like the cake.
Quirked up white boy for sure. I guess it feels again like in the book, having only read this one, Hercule Poirot just comes across as we need a character that can solve the crime, which is the real attraction of the book, but he needs enough character traits that he functions as a character. And the movie is trying to turn him into, your Adrian Monk, your Columbo, your Sean Spencer, trying to make him, the star, which I guess makes sense since they then decided to make a franchise out of it and make two more. So you do need, for a movie, probably a pretty distinct personality at the front. But
I also I think they change a lot. Some of the characters, like Bach is like more of a playboy in this movie. Book. I'm calling him Bach.
Monsieur Book.
Because, he's like starting out by having sex with a prostitute.
Right.
And it's just like, I feel like a lot of it's done is to like glam up the lifestyle. Like you're supposed to make this seem like kind of fancy and elite and kind of like a seductive kind of lifestyle, like on the Orient Express. And I guess for a 2017 audience, that's like being a playboy and having sex all the time. And I don't know. It's interesting, like who they decide to change and how they decide to change them.
And the Countess and Count are like addicted to barbital.
And the Count is like doing judo moves on the paparazzi.
So they're in like a constant drug-induced haze. I wondered if that was there to give another possible weapon to the audience. Like, oh, he may have been drugged with a ton of barbiturates.
I mean, they definitely bring that up in...
Do they? They bring up the sleeping draft as like a possible, which I guess is a very similar possibility.
I swear they mentioned Barbital in the movie, and then he goes and visits her and sees it.
Oh, maybe.
But
I might not have paid perfect 100% attention. But
I mean, like, the judo sequence at the very beginning, whenever the paparazzi are taking pictures of him and he just kind of like beats the shit out of them, really does kind of set the tone for what to expect, and being like, oh, this is not going to be a slow paced kind of event.
This ain't your daddy's murderer on the Orient Express.
He does like a full like roundhouse kick.
And then the nun is just like a new character. So I guess that lends credence to your theory that there's something religious or irreligious afoot.
Well, I mean,
the movie.
The last shot is like, or one of the last shots is literally the Last Supper, with the leader of that Last Supper willingly trying to sacrifice herself for other people. So
yeah, I just like I struggle to feel what the movie is getting at, or that it was a good idea to go with. Like, it just feels like one of those things where you're invoking this religious imagery because it feels important more so than because you have anything worth invoking about it.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, if I'm taking this metaphor like seriously, like, and Ratchet, I don't know, like, I don't know what he's trying to say. Whatever he has this, like, I like the shot. I think it's a fun shot, but I just think it causes implications like that you don't want to follow. Like the fact that like she tries to commit suicide, and so is he saying that like Jesus was vaguely suicidal in his gesture? Because it's
I mean, yeah, she's taking on the sin of all the other people. So I guess in that sense, like, that probably is what they're going for, is she becomes, the sacrificial lamb for, none of these people have their sin anymore because I'm saying it was me, and you can take it out all on me. But if you take the metaphor like one step deeper to like, what is the sin? It's killing a dude, and like the Jesus in this example also stabbed that dude.
Yeah,
like that, it just kind of falls apart.
I mean, it's also complicated because Poirot, HP,
Poirot.
He's like, I'll let you guys go. There's one way you guys can get out of this, and that's to shoot me. So he's like, he offers her the gun that she ultimately tries to commit suicide with to shoot him, and it's like empty. And so I don't know if the implication is I assume this is like a test for him. Whereas if she had tried to shoot him, he would not have felt any guilt at doing this, at like turning them in. But because she tried to take her own life, that means that they're good people at heart, and therefore it's not right to turn them in.
See, I kind of took the opposite way, which is when it was revealed that the gun was not loaded, I took that to mean Poirot never really... He kind of just wanted them to feel the guilt in the moment for making the decision, but never had any real intention of turning them in. So there was no need to give them the actual choice or whatever.
I was seeing it as like, this is a test. Like, are you a killer? If you can murder him in cold blood and get away with it, then you're a bad person. You're just like Cassetti. But that's not what she does. Like, she tries to take her own life in order to kind of absolve everyone else of their sins.
People really don't like Josh Gad these days. And
well, Johnny Depp's also in this movie.
Well, that goes without saying. But although he's Ebenezer this Christmas, so get excited.
Woo!
But
another Christmas Carol.
Yeah. You know the tagline for the new Scrooge movie starring Johnny Depp?
No.
Yeah. I want you to make like one guess.
I'm bad. I hate when
because I don't think you will ever get it right.
Is this Scrooge movie?
Okay, it's
based on like, it's like a prequel, right? It's about him becoming Scrooge.
Okay, you're on the right track. Except the thing is, from my understanding, it is not a prequel. Yet they still made the tagline: before he was Scrooge, he was Ebenezer.
What? That's a terrible tagline. Oh, because the film is called Ebenezer. Because it's a character.
But he's been Ebenezer Scrooge the whole time. It's his name.
Rupert Grint's in it.
Also,
Daisy Ridley's in it.
Yeah, Daisy Ridley's in. Yeah, she just likes working with Johnny Depp. Apparently,
Ian McKellen's in it.
We'll move past that.
Thanksgiving. It's coming out on Thanksgiving. They don't believe in this film.
No, Christmas movies come out on Thanksgiving all the time. That's like the start of Christmas season.
No, it's not. Not in my heart.
The plot of A Christmas Carol includes the prequel in it. So even if it were a prequel, it would be completely pointless because all of it happens in the story.
Yeah, I guess it's true.
Unless it's unless it's like 2 hours just of him becoming like a money lending schemer, which
I hope it's 2 hours.
Be rough.
I hope it's 30 minutes of like a depressing childhood, an hour and a half of just dancing at the Christmas parties, like different Christmas parties throughout the years. And the last 10 minutes are him breaking up with his girlfriend or whatever happened. I don't recall the events of that book. And then becoming cold-hearted. And it cuts it, the way it works is the final shot of that film is them pulling back from the window of like the final dance. And you see the Scrooge looking back with the ghost of Christmas past.
Not to invoke this podcast's least favorite movie again, but which is Solo,
okay.
A Star Wars story. But they definitely should have like, here's where his back went bad, so he walks with a cane.
Here's where he got his hat. Here's where he got his scarf.
Yeah. Here's where he got his little pajama set that he,
Oh, I hope that they make the little like candle holder like from a gift from his mom or whatever, and it's like tragic because she died and he feels terribleness.
It's like, here's when him and his friends developed the rules for the version of charades they play.
I just like
there's like not that many distinctive things about Scrooge as an adult, so
yeah, no. I mean, it's just one of those pointless things where it's a safe IP to pull from because everyone knows the Christmas Carol and everyone likes the Christmas Carol for the most part, and you don't really have to make a new character because you kind of already have, especially for this one, you already have all the different parts.
And like Christmas and to some extent Halloween with like horror movies being super formulaic, but it's like it's the one holiday where people want you to just churn out the same thing over again.
Yeah.
And they don't really care. Like they are happy to see like the exact same plot with the exact same dialogue.
Ironically, I think that this is Charles Dickens' fault. Because I think so much of our conceptions of winter and Christmas time are like purely aesthetic. And the concept of like White Christmas or whatever is like very ingrained in like Charles Dickens. Like it's very like his reason for like writing. And he kind of creates that narrative of what a Christmas should look like. And so he causes all the Hallmark movies to look like that. And so Ebenezer must also look like that in a weird Ouroboros.
But anyway, Josh Gad.
Yeah.
I just didn't like what they did with his character where they tried to make it all extra dramatic and it has more depth. But honestly, I was just falling asleep.
You were just what?
I couldn't tell you. I was just falling asleep. I couldn't tell you what depth they added. I just know there was a really long scene where they talked to Josh Gad.
It honestly,
and I was like, why are we doing this again?
It feels like one of those things where you're like, this movie had a script, and then they hired Josh Gad, and Josh Gad was like, can we add some more stuff for me? And they did.
Which is wild, because Josh Gad is not even like the 5th most prestigious actor in this movie.
Yeah, but it's not a matter of like how good of an actor you are. It's how popular do the executives think you are, and how much of a crybaby fit can you have. I'm not saying
Frozen was only 4 years old.
Yeah.
And they were really counting on the Olaf block of 6-year-olds showing up for this one.
One never knows. I mean, listen, somebody, like if you ever interact with toddlers, they are sometimes completely irrational in that way where they're just like, no, I want this. Which is why I ended up watching Chitty Chitty Bang Bang maybe over 1,000 times.
It's a children's movie.
Yeah, but like, it's still a 3-hour children's movie. It's got an honest to goodness intermission.
Okay, well, I think I have exhausted my thoughts on Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, I mean, it feels very like Great Gatsby in the sense that its like style is like pumped up kind of at the expense of the story its story it's adapting from.
Yeah, it's not often where between the book and the movie, I watch the movie and I'm like, you should make it have less depth, less complexity, like make it more simple like the book was.
Well, do you think that would be successful as like a Hollywood semi-blockbuster movie full of like famous prestigious actors? Or is that better suited to be like an hour-and-a-half TV miniseries episode?
I mean, I think they don't all fit this bill, but like the first Knives Out movie is a relatively good example. Of a, obviously it's like twisty and has some thriller elements rather than being a pure whodunit, but I feel like it does not reach so hard for like, maybe it just feels more self-confident in doing it, but I feel like it's not as try hard about like adding depth to a mystery formula and, all this stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like when you make adaptations, especially if it's for a genre that's not I'm gonna say not like super mainstream, because I think mysteries and whodunits are mainstream like genres, but not in the same way that like a standard action film is. And I think whenever you're a director or an actor and you want to bring something to kind of a bigger audience, but you're unsure if the audience is going to accept it, and so you change things to make it what you assume would be more palatable, and you miss out on kind of the appeal for that kind of niche audience.
And I'm not even... I feel like I've seemed kind of negative about both the book and the movie. I liked the book quite a bit. I just knew the answer, so it was not quite as exciting. And the movie is fine. We'll get to our rating in just a moment. But I almost feel like it's more that I can feel like the attempt to make it like more epic and more blockbustery, straining against the fact that there are scenes where it's relatively faithful and like it just slows down to include like conversations that are had in the book. And I feel like it should have either just really leaned into it or not done it as much as it did. And it's just at an awkward, it's like I feel it flitting back and forth between the two.
Yeah, like it doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. I'm so curious about the sequels now, because were the sequels released in theaters or were they not? 'Cause I don't ever recall seeing ads for them.
A Death on the Nile might have been a victim of COVID.
Oh yeah, that's probably true.
No, it's from 2022, so it would have come out in theaters. And then it was delayed due to the pandemic, so I think it ended up with... It has those weird scenes where you can tell people aren't like in the same room, because they were doing COVID restrictions. But then A Haunting in Venice came out next.
Yeah.
Which apparently is not even the name of the book that one's based on.
Yeah, it's called Halloween Party. But there's an apostrophe between like the two E's and Halloween. They don't understand.
Well, because, it's like Hallows Eve.
Oh, like Hallows Evening. Okay.
Yeah. So that used to just be the standard way to write it. And I think maybe it still is in Britain. Because I think Harry Potter does that, maybe. Anyway, I bet they are not good.
What does the Wikipedia review say?
Death on the Nile, reception, mixed reviews, old-fashioned to a fault.
I think the Halloween one is received better. Character development was an issue, though, apparently. And the film uninvolving.
Where are we at on... Okay, we're gonna...
This is poisonous audio. Maybe cut it out.
Thank you for listening to our audio poison. Now we will be rating the movie. The way we do it on this show is we compare it to video games. So we think if we were turning the book into a movie, how hard would that be? By assigning it a video game, we think is that difficult. So for example, a Kirby game would be very easy and a Donkey Kong would be hard.
I would probably give it a Yoshi, because I think you can't just copy every scene and do it in that order. Because I think having him sit in the train car talking to people wouldn't make for a boring movie. So you have to have some stuff where you move things around. So you have to at least consider, like, it doesn't just fall out of the script or out of the book. You have to kind of think about, okay, how can I arrange these in interesting ways to keep the audience engaged and keep movement forward?
Right. It sort of has the same problem as you see with like turning plays into movies, where if you're not careful, then you're just filming like two people sitting in chairs having a conversation for 2 hours, and you have to like add some dynamics to it. I am going to say this is a mid-90s full motion video point and click game, because that shot when they first realized there was a murder, and it's like a tracking shot through all the different characters who each have like one line of dialogue, had real FMV video game vibes, like down to the performances.
I can't believe we didn't even talk about the fact that, and I love the fact that they did this shot style, like where you are in the roof of the cabin, you're like looking down at the body and everything. Like, I love that shot as well. I feel like I gotta bring it up.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, when the valet was like trying to knock into his door after he's been murdered or whatever, he has like the biggest, fattest croissant, like just on the plate. And I could not stop staring at it.
And then I'm going to say that this movie gets to the end of the point and click adventure, but they definitely did not unlock any of the like bonus interactions with like the obscure items, and they didn't see any of the secret scenes or unlock a bonus ending or anything like that.
Yeah. If I'm comparing this to like the only Yoshi game I've ever actually I played 2 Yoshi games. I played Yoshi's Woolly World and I played Yoshi's Crafted World. And so I just assume all Yoshi games are like this. They did not collect every single flower from, or even the majority of the flowers, I think, from the game.
What's the new Yoshi game on Switch 2?
I don't know any of the Switch 2 games, because other than Fire Emblem, because I need to get one.
Let's see.
I assume it's another crafted thing, since they've kind of gone with that aesthetic, unless they've just shifted away from that.
Yoshi and the Mysterious Book.
Oh.
It's supposed to be like the goated Yoshi game.
Oh. It's already out?
He gets like tons of it. Yeah. Well, IGN gave it a 6 out of 10, but
well, IGN is like
got my opinion. I got my opinion from Video Game Donkey, who liked it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, like, if you're trusting IGN for your video game things, you're doomed for failure.
I mean, I'm not. People get too mad about IGN. Nintendo Life also gave it a 6 out of 10, and they're just like a bunch of YouTubers. So.
Yeah.
But
does it have anything that's as cool as Big Mouth Mode from Kirby and the Forgotten Land or whatever it was called?
Excuse me.
Do you not know this?
No, I
like when Kirby just gives the big suck and he just kind of like, I'm a traffic cone. That one was a very like, obviously the creator's poorly disguised fetish, right?
Maybe, but that is what Kirby does.
But no,
yeah,
like,
the gimmick in Yoshi is that there's different creatures to each world with different abilities if you turn them into your eggs or whatever, and you can use those in all the different levels. So it's got like a Pokemon element, but also like
it's like a Metroidvania.
Sort of that. Yeah, well, Nintendo in general has been going towards that whole like immersive, emergent gameplay, like Breath of the Wild thing. And I guess it's Yoshi's take on that. So anyway, Murder on the Orient Express, a pretty good movie. Better as a book. Read the book, although you shouldn't have listened to this podcast if you were going to do that, so I apologize. Cameron, have you been reading, watching, playing anything else lately?
I'm almost finished with The Color of Magic. I have like 25 pages left, and I've been kind of pushing it off because I've been not that interested in it, but I'm going to get it finished. That way I can say I'm done with it. I've also been playing Persona 5 Royal again.
Nice. That's a good game.
It is a good game.
I need to go back to it, but I'm not going to restart it because that would be a waste of my precious hours on this earth. I would just play from where I left off.
Where did you leave off? Do you know?
In like the 4th or 5th palace.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Because I definitely got past the guy who wanted to paint on.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Naked,
I'm on that one right now.
And I got past the evil pedophile teacher.
That's the first one.
The first guy. Yeah. What's the third guy?
The third guy is the greedy bank. He's like a mafia member.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I recall you.
I think I'm past him.
I think I recall you playing that whenever we were in college.
But I haven't really played it since then. I think the next guy is like a politician.
No.
Maybe.
The fourth one is Anonymous. You're taking down Anonymous.
Okay. I might be in between the third and fourth then.
Okay.
But you'll be proud of me because I went back and have now beat Kingdom Hearts.
Woo!
So.
But did you 100%
I rarely
it?
beat any game. No. Screw that.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
There's so, like, it would be the hardest thing to do in 100%ing Kingdom Hearts is crafting the best Keyblade in the game. And then you have the best Keyblade in the game and you just 100%ed it. So what was the point?
I mean, that's a classic, like, 100% reward where it's like you can't use it or whatever. I think if you're going to do it that way, you got to make it, like, fun or whatever. Because I believe in Dead Space, you get, like, a foam finger gun that you can use to blast off. And it's, like, the most powerful weapon in the game. But it's, like, funny because it's a foam finger gun.
Yeah. I kind of rushed it, not, like, in an actual, like, speedrun rush, but just, like, I did not take time to grind or anything. And I got a little nervous in the final boss after, like, 3 phases of fighting bosses. And then I got to a step where I was struggling a little bit. And I was like, oh, no, I, like, underleveled and I'll never actually beat this phase of this boss. And I am stuck in the part where you can't save anymore. But I persevered.
It's because you're a gamer.
So, and then I started reading The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend, which is like a middle grades fantasy novel, just as something light to read. It's fun so far.
Oh, I forgot. I've been watching Heated Rivalry, the gay hockey show.
Well, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I'm familiar with the concept. I know it caused like, and I can't remember if I just talked about this with you or if we've already mentioned it on this podcast, which would be bizarre, but it like caused a Don DeLillo novel about a hockey romance to get reprinted that had not been printed in like 60 years.
We have never talked about
this. They were like, well, people love romantic hockey now, so.
Well, that show is basically just porn.
Yeah. Unlike Don DeLillo novels, so we'll see how that one gets received. But all right, well, thank you all so much for listening. If you've enjoyed yourself, or even if you haven't, but you're a nice person, hop on to whatever app you're using to listen to this and rate us 5 stars, leave a review, a comment. If you want to reach out to us, our email is adaptivedifficultypod@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube and Blue Sky under the same name. We'd love to hear from you. Any suggestions, if you want to be a guest, anything like that, just get in touch and we will definitely see it and respond.
That is true. Thanks to everyone who made this podcast possible. Thanks to everyone who worked on the adaptation. Thanks for making the world just a little bit more artful. Thanks to you guys, the listeners. It does mean a lot to have people just willing to listen to us. Join us next time as we discuss Paddington.